Today we're going to continue our study with angles by talking about angles in a triangle. So the one thing you'll really want to remember here is that all angles in a triangle sum up to 180 degrees. Let's take a look at example 1. So here you're asked to solve for x. We are given two of the other angles in this triangle, 42 and 87, and we know that they all must sum to 180 degrees. So if we add x and 42 and 87, that should equal 180. So let's write that equation. All right, now we can solve this. So we have x plus 129 equals 180. Subtract 129 from both sides, and we end up with x equals 51. And that's it. All right, let's take a look at example 2. A similar type of problem. We have two of the angles. We're trying to solve for the third angle, x. So we know that summing all those angles up, x and 106 and 59, should equal 180. So now we have x plus 165 equals 180. We're going to subtract 165 from both sides, and we get that x is equal to 15. All right, now let's take a look at example 3. Solve for x, then find the measures of all the angles. All right, now since we know that all of those angles must add up to 180, we can write an equation. So x plus 38 plus x plus 55 has to all equal 180. Now we can solve for x. So we have 3x plus 93 equals 180. Subtract 93 from both sides, so we have 3x equals 87. Divide both sides by 3, and we get x is equal to 29. Now, we know what x is, so we did that first part, solve for x. Then find the measures of all the angles. All right, so now to find the other angle measures, we have to substitute 29 back in for x. So, for example, x plus 55, we have to substitute 29 in there, so 29 plus 55, which is equal to 84. And then we do the same thing with x plus 38. So we have 29 plus 38, which is equal to 67. So the measures of all the angles are 29, 84, and 67, and x is equal to 29. All right, let's take a look at example 4. Find all missing angles in each diagram. So in this one, you can see here that we've actually got two triangles within one larger triangle. Let's start with what we already know. So starting with the triangle on the right, we have two of the angles given to us, and we can pretty easily find C, because we know that must equal 180. So C plus 44 plus 53 has to equal 180. Now we can solve for C. So we have C plus 97 equals 180. Subtract 97 from both sides, and we get C is equal to 83. All right, next, since we know that C is equal to 83, now if you look at angle B, which is right next to angle C, they form a linear pair. Now since linear pairs have to equal 180, we know that B plus C has to equal 180. So B plus 83 must equal 180. Subtract 83 from both sides, and we get that B is equal to 97. Now lastly, we still need to find angle A. And since we have that B is equal to 97, we're given that this angle here is 28 degrees, we can use those measurements to find angle A. So A plus 97 plus 28 is equal to 180. And then we have A plus 125 equals 180. Subtract 125 from both sides, and we get that A is equal to 55. Another option to solve for A is to look at the larger triangle and use the 44 degrees as one angle, add 28 and 53, and get the measure of that large angle there, and add that with A, and all three of those angles must add up to 180, and you should also get that A is equal to 55. All right, let's take a look at example 5. All right, so it looks like, again, we have two triangles within a larger triangle. Now, in the triangle that's on the left there, we have a 90-degree angle, a 55-degree angle, and x. So here we can solve for x. We have x plus 55 plus 90 equals 180. So now we can simplify to solve for x. We get x plus 145 equals 180. Subtract 145 from both sides, and we get x is equal to 35. All right, well, now that we have x is equal to 35, now let's take a look at what we have left in the diagram. Now, x and y here, those are linear pairs. So we can go ahead and say, well, those two must equal 180. So that means x, which is 35, plus y should equal 180. Subtracting 35 from both sides, we end up with y equals 145. All right, so now from here, we can solve for z, because since we know that y is 145, and we know that that other angle in that second triangle is 10, we know that z, 10, and 145 must all add up to 180. So now we have z plus 155 equals 180. Subtracting 155 from both sides, we end up with z equals 25. And that's it. We found all the missing angles in this diagram. All right, let's look at example 6. Now notice here that we have some angles that are marked with degrees, which means we know the measure of them. And the other ones that don't have degrees just means that is what we're calling that angle. So angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, but we have angles with measures of 72 degrees, 86 degrees, and 70 degrees. All right, so let's start with the triangle that's on the left there. We have angle 3, we have 72 degrees and 86 degrees. So those all add up to 180 degrees. So angle 3 plus 72 plus 86 equals 180. So now we have angle 3 plus 158 equals 180. Subtracting 158 from both sides, we end up with angle 3 equals 22 degrees. Now once you know that angle 3 is 22 degrees, we actually know that angle 4 is equal to angle 3 because angles 3 and 4 are vertical angles. So angle 4 is also going to be 22 degrees. Now we can work with the triangle that's on the right because we know angle 4 is 22 degrees. We know that second angle is 70 degrees, and now we just have to find the measure of angle 5. So angle 5 plus 22 plus 70 should equal 180. And then we get that angle 5 plus 92 equals 180. Subtract 92 from both sides, and we get that angle 5 is equal to 88 degrees. So now we've solved for angle 3, angle 4, and angle 5 in this diagram. All right, last example. Find the measure of each numbered angle in this figure. Now you'll notice here we've got a lot more going on. We've got angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 that we need to solve for. Let's start with this triangle here on the left. We have two of the angles already, 65 degrees and 46 degrees. So even though we don't need that, even though we're not asked to find that last angle in that triangle, we're going to go ahead and solve for it because it's going to help us find angles 1 and 2, which will then help us with other measurements as well. So x plus 45, x plus 46 plus 65 equals 180. So this is x plus 111 equals 180. Subtract 111 from both sides, we get x is equal to 69. All right, so now that we know that that measure is 69, now we can find the measure of angle 2. Angle 2 is vertical angles with this 69-degree angle. So that means those two must be equal to each other. So angle 2 is 69 degrees. Now to find the measure of angle 1, we can say, well, angle 1 and the 69-degree angle, they form a linear pair, so they must equal 180. So angle 1 plus 69 is equal to 180, which gives us angle 1 is equal to 111. Okay. Now let's move on to the other side of this diagram. We see that we have this 142-degree angle given to us, and since we have that angle and the angle next to it as linear pairs, we can say that that angle and the 142 degree angle must add up to 180. So y plus 142 equals 180. Subtract 142 from both sides, and we get that y is equal to 38. So this angle here is 38 degrees. Now we weren't asked to find it, but now this is going to help us find the measure of angle 3. So angle 3 plus 38 plus 82 must all equal 180. Those are all three angles in the triangle. So angle 3 plus 120 equals 180. Subtract 120 from both sides, and we get angle 3 is equal to 60 degrees. All right, so now let's continue working our way through this diagram. Now, because we have this 60-degree angle here, we know that angle 4 must also be 60 degrees because those are vertical angles. Okay, and then we can find the measure of angle 6, because angle 6 and the 60-degree angle, they're a linear pair. So angle 6 plus 60 equals 180. Subtract 60 from both sides, we get angle 6 is 120 degrees. Now that leaves us with just one more angle measure to find, which is angle 5. Now you'll notice we have two of the angles in the triangle, 69 degrees and 60 degrees. So now we can use those measurements to find angle 5. So angle 5 plus 69 plus 60 has to equal 180. So angle 5 plus 129 is equal to 180. Subtract 129 from both sides, and we get that angle 5 is equal to 51. So now we found angles 1, which was 111 degrees, angle 2, 69 degrees, angle 3, 60 degrees, angle 4, 60 degrees, angle 5 was 51 degrees, and angle 6 is 120 degrees.